Second invitation, I think, for us today is to make loving God and obeying God inseparable. As I said, the Hebrew word shema means to listen and obey. Now, there is a word that we've lost as a generation, right? I mean, we know what it means, but it's more unpopular than ever. For many of us, even those of us who love Jesus, obedience to Jesus is a bit of a foreign concept because it's so far outside the plausibility structures of our culture, where obedience to any form of external authority is seen as slavery, not freedom, and as an obstacle to flourishing, not the path by which we walk. But we must keep in mind that when we do what Jesus teaches because we agree with him, that's great. In fact, that's probably a sign of the Spirit of God at work in you, but that's not obedience. That's just doing what you think is best and agreeing with Jesus about what is best. Great. Obedience is when you do what Jesus teaches, even when you don't understand. Or in all honesty, if you're ruthlessly honest, you even disagree, but you trust him. You trust his love, you trust his wisdom, you trust his authority over your life because he is in the place of God, not you. He's the one defining good and evil, not you. To love God isn't just to stir up a ton of emotions for God. I mean, that's great, but I don't think that's the call of Jesus here. Like, just get your emotion on and just stir it up, right? There's something to that. It's not to mock that. But it means to center him in our heart and to give our whole being, all of our ma'od, all of our muchness, all that we are, over to him in obedience. We may say that we love God, and we may even believe it. The human capacity for self-deception is staggering, and I'm no exception to that. But if we don't obey him, the truth is we don't actually trust and love him. Not yet. We still trust in our inner desire for sin more. That's not to guilt you or shame you or me. It's just to pull back the curtain of insight. That means we're still at a place of immaturity in our spiritual formation where we have yet to trust God in this area of our life. And how do we know? We know because sin still looks good to us. It still has a draw to it, an appeal, an attraction to our heart. We still, in this area, love sin more than God. Richard Foster once said, sin is ultimately an attempt to fill our need for God with everything but God. He was hearkening back to what St. Augustine said over a millennium and a half ago, that brilliant North African who basically, to summarize his thought, said, human beings are lovers. The problem is not that we don't love, but that we love the wrong things, sin or the self, or that we love the right things but in the wrong order, meaning love for God and neighbor are there, but they're 7th, 8th, 9th, and up at the top is self or sexuality or career or money or vindication or your reputation or whatever it is. Not necessarily bad things, but you put them in the wrong order, and it is devastating. And Augustine said the root problem in the human condition, what the New Testament called sin, is what Augustine called disordered loves. And discipleship to Jesus is about reordering our loves. It's about coming to trust his vision of good and evil, coming to listen and obey. As we apprentice under Jesus, over time, our inner world is transformed. Our heart is transformed and set free from its deception to lies. And we come to see sin as it actually is, evil, and God and his ways as they actually are, all supreme goodness. We come to love him and love his definition of goodness. Apprenticing Jesus is all about turning that inner fulcrum of your heart over to God in obedience, day after day after day. It's about daily, small, ordinary obedience, about the cross in Jesus' language, about what the psychologist and spiritual director David Benner once called surrender to love. Just, God, I don't understand. My heart is still a mess and disordered, but I yield. Here I am. I